Teen knocks on biker club door at midnight. Can you hide my sister for one night? At 12:47 a.m., the knock comes to a biker club door no one knocks on unless they're desperate or out of option. A teenage boy stands under a flickering streetlight, his little sister behind him. His voice shakes as he asks a question that will change every life inside. Midnight sits heavy on the edge of town, the kind of quiet that hums instead of rests. The Black Hollow Motorcycle Club's Clubhouse squats between a boarded-up tire shop and a strip of dead grass where nothing grows anymore. Most people cross the street when they pass it. Some don't pass it at all. Inside, the air is thick with oil and heat. Old rock murmurs low from a radio that's missing half its buttons. 4 men circle a stripped-down bike frame like surgeons who have done this 1,000 times. No rush, no wasted words. Hawk, the club's president, tightens a bolt with steady hands. His beard is streaked with gray, his eyes sharp but tired. Mason leans against the workbench, arms crossed, a scar tugging one side of his mouth downward. Lyle cleans parts at the sink, humming off-key. Boone watches the door without meaning to. Then it comes, a knock, soft, careful, almost polite. No one moves. Another knock follows, louder, still unsure. Boone straightens. You hear that? Hawk does not look up. Yeah, they wait. The knock comes again, followed by a pause long enough to walk away. Whoever it is doesn't. Hawk exhales slowly and sets the wrench down. He walks to the door and opens it just enough to see outside. A boy stands there. 16 at most. Hoodie too thin for the cold, sleeve torn, knuckles red like he's been punching walls or holding himself together. His eyes don't wander. They lock on Hawk's face like this is the last door left in the world. Behind him, half hidden, is a little girl clutching a stuffed rabbit with one ear missing. I'm not here for trouble, the boy says quickly. I just need somewhere safe. Hawk's gaze drops to the girl. She can't be older than 9. Her shoes don't match. Her hair is pulled back with shaking hands. This ain't that kind of place, Hawk says. The boy nods like he already knew that. I know. I only need one night. Silence stretches. For her, the boy adds, not me. The girl tightens her grip on the rabbit. Hawk opens the door wider. The door creaks open fully, metal complaining like it remembers things better left alone. Warm light spills onto the concrete outside. The boy doesn't move. Name, Hawk says. Eli, the boy answers. He doesn't hesitate. And that's my sister, Nora. Nora peeks out from behind him, then ducks back in like she's learned the cost of being seen. Mason steps closer, boots heavy. Where's your parents, kid? Eli's jaw tightens. Gone. Lyle wipes his hands and crouches low, gentle without meaning to be. You hurt. Eli shakes his head once. She might be. That lands differently. Hawk studies him. The way Eli stands slightly in front of Nora. The way his hand stays close enough to grab her without touching her. Protective but careful, like someone who learned the rules the hard way. You can come in, Hawk says. Eli doesn't move. Just her, Eli says. I'll sit outside. I don't need food. I don't need anything. Mason scoffs softly. You don't get to bargain. I'm not, Eli says. I'm asking. Nora tugs his sleeve. Eli, he looks down at her and his whole body changes. Shoulders soften, voice lowers. It's okay. Hawk opens the door wider and steps aside. Both of you, inside. Eli hesitates one last time, then he nods. The clubhouse feels enormous to Nora. Bikes lined like sleeping animals, tools hanging in perfect order, men who look like they stepped out of her nightmares standing very still. Lyle brings out a folding cot, old but clean. Boone hands over a blanket that smells like soap and oil. Sit, Lyle tells Nora gently. She looks at Eli. He nods, she sits. Mason appears with a mug of hot chocolate heated on the same burner they use for coffee. He sets it down without comment. Nora wraps both hands around it like it might float away. Thank you, she whispers. Eli stays standing, watching, counting doors, measuring exits. You can breathe, Hawk says quietly. Eli shakes his head. Later, hours pass in fragments. Nora falls asleep curled around the rabbit. The mug sits empty beside her. Eli lowers himself to the floor next to the cot, back against the wall, eyes still open. Hawk stands guard all night, because even men with dark reputations recognize a kid who's run out of road. Morning light cuts through the high windows in pale strips. Dust floats slow and peaceful, like it doesn't know where it is. Eli wakes with a sharp inhale, hand reaching for Nora before his eyes open. She's still there, breathing steady. Rabbit tucked under her chin, the tension drains just enough to make his body ache. Lyle pours coffee, Boone flips on a griddle, bacon sizzles, normal sounds that feel unreal. "You hungry?" Boone asks. Eli nods before he can stop himself. A woman steps in through the side door carrying a paper bag that smells like sugar and warmth. Her name is Ruth. She's been around the club longer than anyone admits. Silver hair, sharp eyes, gentle hands. "Well," she says, spotting the kids, "guess we've got company." Nora wakes to cinnamon rolls and soft voices. Ruth kneels, eye level. "Good morning, sweetheart." Nora glances at Eli. He nods. Ruth smiles wider. "I'll braid your hair if you want." Nora thinks, then takes her hand. As they walk away, Mason turns to Eli. His voice drops. "Who did this?" Eli stiffens. "Did what?" "The bruises," Mason says. "The way she flinches." Eli swallows. His eyes burn, but he doesn't cry. "The man my mom left us with." Silence follows. Hawk steps closer. "You did right." Eli lets out a breath he's been holding for years. But outside, an engine passes slow. Too slow. Boone moves to the window. His face hardens. "Company," he says. Eli's heart slams. His first instinct is to grab Nora and run. Hawk places a hand on his shoulder. "You knocked on our door," Hawk says. "That means you're under our roof." The engine cuts. A shadow falls across the glass, and the past finally catches up. The knock this time is different. Hard, certain. It doesn't ask permission. Every man in the room feels it before it sounds again. Hawk doesn't rush. He lifts one finger and the room stills. Boone moves quietly to the side door. Mason steps back into shadow. Lyle shuts off the griddle. The smell of bacon hangs unfinished in the air. Eli's body goes rigid. His eyes dart toward the hallway where Nora disappeared with Ruth. "That's him," Eli whispers. He doesn't need to say the name. His shoulders hunch like he's already bracing for a hit. "He followed us." Hawk nods once. Calm, measured. "Stay here." The door opens just enough. The man outside is thick-necked, mid-40s, jacket zipped too high. His eyes sweep the room without respect. He smells like stale smoke and impatience. "I'm looking for my kids," the man says. His voice is practiced, friendly on the surface, mean underneath. Hawk tilts his head. "You're at the wrong place. They ran off last night," the man says. "Boy thinks he's grown, girl doesn't know better." He smiles thinly. "I'll take them now." Behind Hawk, Eli's fists clench. His breath comes fast and shallow. Hawk doesn't move aside. "You don't take anything from here," Hawk says evenly. The man's smile drops. His eyes harden. "You don't know what you're getting into." Hawk steps closer, close enough that the man has to lean back. "I know exactly." A pause, long, dangerous. From the hallway, Nora's small voice drifts out. "Eli!" The man's head snaps toward the sound. That's the mistake. Mason is suddenly there. Boone too, not violent, not loud, just present, a wall where a door used to be. "This is your warning," Hawk says. "Leave." The man scoffs, but he steps back, pride wounded, control slipping. "This isn't over," he mutters. Hawk watches him go until the engine fades. Only then does the room exhale. Eli sinks to the floor, shaking. Hawk crouches beside him. "It is over," he says quietly. "You just didn't know it yet." Nora clings to Eli when Ruth brings her back. Her braid is neat, her face clean, her eyes still careful. "He's gone," Eli tells her softly. She nods, but she doesn't let go. Ruth guides them to the table, sets a plate in front of Nora. "Eat, sweetheart." Nora picks at the roll, then stops. "Is he mad?" Eli swallows. "No, he won't be back." Hawk watches the way Eli says it, not hopeful, certain. Later, when Nora drifts into a nap on the couch, Hawk asks Eli to step outside. The air is cold and honest. "You can't go back," Hawk says. "I know," Eli answers. "You want help," Hawk says, not a question. Eli's eyes finally break. "I don't know how." Hawk nods. "We do. Phones come out. Names are called. Not favors, responsibilities. A social worker Hawk's sister trusts. A lawyer who owes the club nothing but respect. A safe house with warm beds and locked doors. No sirens, no shouting, just quiet steps toward safety." Eli listens. Every word feels unreal. "What if he fights it?" Eli asks. "He will," Hawk says, "but he won't win." Eli looks back through the window at Nora, curled small but breathing easy. "I was supposed to protect her," he says. "I didn't always." Hawk interrupts gently. "You did." Eli shakes his head. "I'm just a kid." Hawk meets his eyes. So was I when I learned some people don't keep you safe. You stood between her and something bigger than you. That counts. But for the first time, Eli believes it might. When Nora wakes, Hawk kneels in front of her. You're going somewhere safe. She looks at Eli. Together. Yes, Eli says, his voice steady now. Together. He smiles. Small, real. Sometimes rescue doesn't look like flashing lights. Sometimes it looks like men with rough hands choosing to be gentle. The car pulls away just before noon. Nora presses her face to the window, waving with both hands. Eli watches the clubhouse shrink behind them. He doesn't feel afraid. Weeks pass. Paperwork turns into plans. Plans turn into routines. School, counselors, quiet nights, locked doors that feel comforting instead of trapping. Eli learns how to sleep. Nora learns how to laugh without checking the room first. They visit the clubhouse once a month, always on Sundays, always with cinnamon rolls. The men never ask for thanks. They just make room. One afternoon, Nora leaves her rabbit on the workbench and doesn't panic. Eli notices. His chest tightens. Hawk notices too. See? Hawk says quietly, healing. Years later, Eli rides up on a bike of his own. Not as a member. As family, he parks where the grass finally grows back. Nora runs ahead of him, hair not angry, just loud. But Nora's fingers dig into Eli's sleeve like she's falling. It's okay, Eli whispers, kneeling beside her. You're safe. She nods, but her body doesn't listen yet. Healing, he learns, is not a straight line. It curves, it doubles back. It asks for patience when you think you're out. That night, Eli sits on the edge of his bed long after Nora falls asleep. He stares at the ceiling, counting cracks, listening to the quiet hum of a safe house that has never raised its voice. He still dreams of doors, the clubhouse door, the way it opened, the way it changed everything. The next Sunday they go back. The Black Hollow clubhouse smells the same. Oil, coffee, familiar. Hawk looks older, or maybe softer, hard to tell. You all right, kid? Hawk asks. Eli shrugs. Most days. Hawk nods. No pressure, no fixing. Nora wanders off, confident now, greeting everyone by name. She climbs onto Mason's lap without asking. He pretends not to like it. No one believes him. Later, Hawk hands Eli a small metal key. For the back room, Hawk says, when you need quiet. Eli turns it over in his palm. Why? Because you earned a place that doesn't disappear, Hawk answers. Eli swallows. He realizes something then. Strength didn't come from never being afraid. It came from knowing where to go when fear came back. That night, when Nora laughs in her sleep, Eli finally lets himself cry. Not from pain, from relief. The call comes on a rainy afternoon. Eli answers it already knowing. They filed an appeal, the social worker says gently. It won't go far, but he's trying. Eli's hand tightens around the phone. Old instincts flare. Protect, prepare, run if needed. He thanks her and hangs up. Then he does something new. He goes to the clubhouse. Hawk listens without interrupting. Mason's jaw tightens. Boone stares at the floor. He won't get near her, Hawk says finally. I know, Eli replies. I just needed to hear it out loud. Hawk places a hand on his shoulder. Heavy, steady. You're not alone anymore. The hearing is brief, cold, official. The judge doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The man never looks at Nora. She sits straight. Calm, her rabbit tucked under her arm like armor. When it's over, she exhales. Outside, rain falls soft and clean. Is it done? She asks. Yes, Eli says, and this time it's true. They celebrate with milkshakes. Chocolate for Nora, coffee for Eli. He feels older than his age and lighter than he's ever been. That night, Nora pins a picture on her wall. It's drawn in crayon. 2 kids, a big door, light spilling out. Above it, she writes, "The night we were brave." Eli stands in the doorway and watches her sleep. The past knocked again, and this time it didn't get in. Years pass quietly. Eli graduates, works part-time, fixes bikes on weekends. He never joins the club. He doesn't need the patch. He belongs anyway. Nora grows taller, louder, braver. She forgets fewer things now, and when she does, she doesn't panic. One evening, Eli notices something small. The clubhouse door is open. Wide, no guard, no tension, just music and laughter. Hawk catches Eli watching. Funny thing, he says, people think fear keeps places safe. Eli nods. It does. No, Hawk agrees. People do. But Eli realizes then that the club didn't save them because they were bikers. They saved them because they remembered what it was like to be small and scared and unseen. Nora runs up, breathless. Can we stay longer? Eli smiles. Yeah, we can stay. Because this is what safety looks like now. A door that stays open, a past that stays behind, and a boy who knocked once, terrified, who stayed long enough to learn he wasn't alone. Eli had always thought family was a house with rules you couldn't break, voices you had to obey, and doors you couldn't trust. Now, family smells like grease, coffee, and faint cinnamon. It laughs loudly in the kitchen and hums low in the garage. It keeps doors open and watches without judging. On one rainy afternoon, Eli and Nora arrive at the clubhouse for a visit. They are older now. Nora's braid swings freely behind her. Eli's hoodie is gone, replaced with a worn leather jacket he found in the back of the clubhouse. Hawk greets them with a slow nod, Mason throws a teasing grin, Boone smirks from the corner, and Lyle waves a ragged hand. Ruth has already set out a tray of cinnamon rolls and coffee. The smell fills the high ceilings and the gaps in Eli's memory where fear used to live. Nora darts past Eli, climbing onto Mason's lap before he can protest, giggling uncontrollably. Eli watches and notices how different she looks, smaller still but unafraid, confident, lively. Safe. Hawk catches Eli's gaze and tilts his head slightly, unspoken words hanging in the space between them. Years ago, this man had decided not to look away, to not close the door. And in doing so, he had given 2 children the kind of safety that law, time, or luck never could. Eli finally moves toward the back room, still holding the small key Hawk had given him years ago. He unlocks it and steps inside. It's empty except for a small cot, neatly folded, and the faint scent of motor oil and warmth. He runs his fingers over the worn surface, remembering nights he stayed awake to keep Nora safe. "I guess some things don't change," he murmurs. Nora joins him, peeking inside, curious but unafraid. "It's cozy," she says. "Like home." Eli smiles. The word feels foreign and beautiful. He closes the door slowly behind them, locking it, not because the world is dangerous, but because they've earned a place where they decide when the world can enter. And for the first time, Eli believes that home isn't just a building, it's the people who choose to stay. One evening, Eli walks Nora home after school. The streets are empty, damp with rain. Streetlights hum softly above them. "I still get scared sometimes," Nora admits, squeezing his hand. Eli nods. "I know, me too." She looks up at him. "Why weren't you scared that night?" He hesitates. The memory presses in, knocking on that door, seeing Hawk and Mason and the others waiting like giants in the dark. The smell of oil, the rough leather, the warmth beneath it. "I was," he admits finally, "terrified, but I knew someone had to be brave, so I tried to be." Nora frowns. "And you were." "I did my best," Eli says softly. "That's all anyone can do." They stop at her house. The lights are off inside. Empty, safe. "You think I'll ever forget?" she asks quietly. Eli kneels to her height. "No, and you don't have to. Remembering isn't always bad. It's proof you survived, proof you're strong." She presses her forehead to his chest for a long moment. "I'm glad you stayed." He smiles, brushing her hair back. "Me too." Later that night, Eli sits alone on his porch, looking at the stars above. The same stars that had hung over the clubhouse the first night he knocked. He remembers fear, despair, and the unknown waiting outside the door. But now he sees the door itself, the choice to stay open, and the people who kept it open. Hawk's words echo softly in his memory. "Strength doesn't come from never being afraid. It comes from knowing where to go when fear returns." Eli realizes that courage is not a moment. It's a habit. A series of choices made in silence, behind locked doors, in the small acts of protecting someone who cannot yet protect themselves. And he smiles again, because he knows that lesson will follow him forever. One night, the wind howls outside the safe house. Rain taps against the windows like drumbeats, urgent, insistent. Eli sits in the dim light of the kitchen, Nora asleep in the room next door. He sips coffee, letting warmth seep into his hands. Memories float unbidden, first knock, first fear, first breath of relief when the door opened. Hawk had once said, "Some nights stay with you forever." Eli understands now. That night at the clubhouse didn't end. It lives in him, in every careful glance, every instinct to protect, every quiet triumph of safety over danger. He rises and walks to the small cabinet where he keeps Nora's favorite toys, books, and sketches. She had drawn pictures of the clubhouse doors, of motorcycles, of men with rough hands and soft hearts. Every drawing is a story, every story a reminder that bravery takes. It had been years since Eli first knocked on that garage door. The streets were brighter now, the air lighter, yet the memories of that night lingered like faint oil stains on concrete. One Saturday morning, he and Nora ride their bikes toward the clubhouse. The sky is pale, the clouds low. Every pedal stroke brings them closer to the place that had changed everything. Men are waiting, as if they had known the kids would come. Hawk steps out first, the beard streaked with more gray than Eli remembers. Mason leans against a bike, a smirk tugging his scarred mouth. Boone adjusts his jacket, eyes scanning the street, alert. Lyle waves with a rag-stained hand. Ruth carries a basket of pastries. The smell of cinnamon fills the air before the door even opens. Nora's eyes widen. "It smells the same," she whispers. Eli smiles, glancing at her. He realizes something. The clubhouse isn't just a building. It's the memory of protection, the embodiment of courage, and a living reminder of who kept a promise when the world wouldn't. The kids step inside. The room is warm and familiar, yet different. Bikes are in new places, tools polished and organized. There's laughter from corners Eli doesn't remember. Conversations he doesn't understand but feels welcomed into. Hawk greets him with a slow nod. "You made it back." Eli nods. "We did, together." Boone smirks, Mason grins, Lyle gives a thumbs up. Even Ruth's smile carries years of unspoken approval. Nora runs ahead, darting between the motorcycles, careful not to touch anything, yet confident. Eli follows, watching her reclaim the space that once scared her. Hawk's voice catches Eli's attention. "Remember, kid, doors like this, they only stay open if people choose to keep them that way." Eli nods, understanding now that the lesson isn't just about courage. It's about continuity, about choosing to protect again and again when it matters most. For the first time in a long time, Eli feels fully anchored. Not by fear, not by necessity, but by trust. And in that moment, the clubhouse is more than shelter. It is home. Life outside the clubhouse continues, but its lessons travel with Eli and Nora like invisible armor. At school, Eli notices children moving too quickly, eyes darting for danger. He recalls the way he counted exits, measured distances, gauged threats. He offers quiet gestures, holding a door, listening without judgment. Small acts of courage that echo larger ones. Nora learns to speak for herself, to refuse fear, to laugh without hesitation. Her friends notice the confidence in her stride, the way she meets the world head-on. One evening, Eli sits with Nora on the porch. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asks, her voice low. "All the time," he says, "but I think about the good too, about people who didn't look away." She leans her head against his shoulder. "I want to be like them." "You already are," he whispers. Weeks pass. Months. Life rolls forward with quiet victories. The kids volunteer at shelters, help neighbors, and speak softly with those who are scared. Their world is no longer defined by danger, but by the power of protection, empathy, and choice. One afternoon, a letter arrives for Eli. A simple note from Hawk: "Never forget, doors are only strong when someone chooses to hold them open." Eli pins it above his desk. He reads it over and over, the words carrying weight, responsibility, courage, continuity. He smiles, thinking of the night he first knocked, the boy terrified outside the black hollow doors. That boy is gone. In his place stands someone stronger, wiser, and tender, someone who knows the value of a safe place and the people willing to create it. Nora enters, carrying a stack of drawings. "Look," she exclaims, "I made a new story, you and me and the door that saved us." Eli bends down, taking her hand. "It's perfect." Together, they trace the lines of ink across the page, a map of memory and courage. And Eli realizes, finally, that some nights never truly end. They echo forward, shaping the people we become, teaching us how to stand and protect, how to choose bravery, and how to let light in when the world is dark. Years later, Eli and Nora stand outside the same Black Hollow clubhouse. Bikes rumble in the background, laughter spills from the garage, and the familiar smells of coffee, grease, and cinnamon float on the evening air. Eli notices Hawk, Mason, Boone, and Lyle together, older, rougher, and softer at the same time. They nod, no words are needed. Understanding passes between them like a quiet acknowledgement. The kids they saved are no longer children. Nora tugs at Eli's sleeve. "Can we go in?" Eli smiles. "Of course." Inside, the room is alive with motion. Bikes being tuned, tools in their places, music humming low. The place that once held fear and uncertainty now pulses with safety, laughter, and belonging. Eli walks slowly, taking it all in. He remembers that first knock, the terror, the unknown waiting on the other side. And now he understands. Courage isn't loud or heroic. It is quiet, patient, and persistent. It is choosing to stay when leaving would be easier. Nora runs ahead, her hands brushing against familiar surfaces. Eli watches her, pride swelling quietly in his chest. She is fearless, whole, and unbroken. He finally meets Hawk's eyes across the room. Hawk tilts his head ever so slightly. No lecture, no reminder, just respect. Eli nods, understanding that some doors are bigger than their hinges. Some nights teach lessons that last forever. Some hands, rough and scarred, can be gentle enough to change lives. Nora turns, looking up at him. "I'm glad you stayed." Eli kneels, holding her close. "Me too," he whispers. Outside, the night is dark, endless, and alive. Inside, the lights stay on. The doors remain open. And sometimes, the world teaches you that one act of courage, one night of protection, can echo across a lifetime. The boy who knocked has grown into the man who stayed. The girl he protected has grown into someone unafraid. And the men who once seemed frightening now embody the very definition of strength, choice, and heart. Some nights never truly end.